What's up, everybody? My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Umineko When They Cry Answers Arc. Small disclaimer, I have all three of my windows open because it is like 80 today. I don't have my air conditioner in yet, and I have a fan blowing on me, so if you hear a little bit of a fan noise, it's right next to me. It shouldn't be blowing into the microphone at all. I angled it that way so that it doesn't do that. But, yeah, the sound quality of this episode might be a little worse than usual. So, yeah, sorry about that, but it's the best I can fucking do when it's 80 degrees, and I can't really record if I close all my windows and turn off my fan, because I will pass out. Or at least not be comfortable, and it won't be fun. But either way, last episode, Canon, Shannon, and Beatrice had their trials, and they killed Rosa, Maria, and Natsuhi. And Battler came in, and he said he killed somebody too, so that's something. You're probably also going to hear a four-wheeler, because my dad's driving around our lawn. He went to Maine, and he bought lobster, and I had lobster for lunch, and it was really, really nice. But whatever, let's get into this shit. Erica was dozing off on her bed, so when a knock sounded on the door, it took some time before she noticed. She looked at the clock and saw that not much time had passed since she had lain down. Okay. Yes, who is it? I hope you have a good reason for knocking on the detective's door at an hour like this. Okay, womp time. That's right. I have one thing to say before we begin this game. Oh, that detective proclamation thing. Do as you wish. No, I mean the opposite. I say we raise the stakes. Raise the stakes? What's this? Now that sounds interesting. What do you mean? It's simple. Battler got a shot off at us in the last game. So if Erica does the same in this game, we're only even. Wasn't the last game a tie? We failed to win a game that should have been a shoo-in, right? That's how you spell shoo-in? Okay. If that isn't a loss, I don't know what is. Right, Erica? Yes, my master. If I hadn't failed so miserably, we would have won that game easily. Ooh, I get it. So this time, you'll intentionally fight at a disadvantage by not making a detective proclamation and win despite that. You're scheming to not only wipe out your loss from the previous game, but to totally flip the score upside down, right? You intend to participate in the game Battler poured his heart and soul into with a foolish handicap like that? That is not only presumptuous, it's quite rude. So she's going to play this without the detective rules, I guess. The detective's powers, okay. Interesting. You've got a point there. Sounds more like an excuse just in case they lose. Unless she has a different strategy up her sleeve. True, you could also look at it that way. If they win, it's a great victory. But if they lose, Erica's side has a nice little excuse. Isn't that a bit unsporting? I always forget you're not on their side, Lambda Delta. Technically, I guess. Even though you and Burncastle certainly are working together in some fashion. Don't worry, this bet is balanced on both sides. If this game is won by a human without the detective proclamation, it'll be impossible for Battler and the others to pick up the pieces of the illusion of the witch. But on the other hand, if Erica loses, that detective trash will be sent into the depths of oblivion along with the worst possible fragment. See? It's balanced, isn't it? An ultimate victory with a mere human, not a Superman detective, destroying the illusion of the witch. She's putting her own destruction on the line to make that bet. I've gotten bored with these sluggish repeating games that you and the former Beato made. So we're raising the stakes and setting it all at once. Well, that is true. If Battler makes it through this game, it'll mean that Battler has won Beato's game and the game will end. In a sense, it's a showdown you can't escape, right? Then doesn't the fact that there's a 7th chapter and an 8th chapter kind of imply, hey, Battler loses? So that's something. I see your position. Are you okay with that, Erica? Yes, of course. In order to regain my master's trust in me, which was lost by my previous defeat,
I will risk even my own destruction.
Is that of your own will? Everyone's just speaking in dots right now. Come on, say something.
What's wrong, Erica? Answer him, okay?
Obviously, this is my own will. I certainly will not lose. Even without the detective proclamation, I will defeat you no matter what.
Battler.
Sure, that's fine. If that's what you want, I'll accept that challenge.
Thank you very much. I'll make sure you regret it. After all, when Battler played for the human side, he never had anything as convenient as the detective's authority. All he was allowed to do was use the blue truth and demand that Banto repeat things he said.
Exactly. In a way, the last game was unfair. We failed to win despite that, which is why it was no different from a loss.
Do what you want. If you feel like making a detective proclamation, do it whenever you like. I understand that you're holding it in reserve at the moment.
As if I'd do such a thing against an opponent like you.
Then get started, you two. I'm already starting to get bored.
Leave it to me, my master. I will destroy the illusion of the witch for you without fail.
Yeah, sure. Then if Battler loses this game, does that mean Erica becomes the game master in the 7th? Whatever. We'll see as it goes along, I guess. George and Jessica had been the ones knocking on Erica's door. They were asking whether Battler and Maria had come to this room. Of course, they hadn't.
A good while ago, they went downstairs, saying they wanted to get something to drink. We thought they might have come to your room.
Oh.
Of course not. Why would they? Are you sure they didn't go to the mansion? We called the servant room and dining hall of the mansion, but no one picked up. Please stay here, you two. I'm going to go check the mansion.
She thinks they're dead, but would Battler be dead? If Battler's dead, that's a problem.
Hey, it's dangerous to go out this late.
How could a stranger sneak into the sealed-off island? Stay in that cousin room of yours. I'll contact you if anything happens. Also, tell the servants in the guest house servant room not to leave the building. Bye. Wait a second, Erica?
She's a strange kid.
No shit, George. After speaking her mind and not listening to anything else, Erica dashed down the stairs and rushed outside. So Battler and Maria are missing. Okay. We already know, what Maria is dead. So if Battler's dead too, big problem. Unless they're playing another game with Erica. Which, it's still possible the 5th game they were just playing a game with Erica and then Shannon/Cannon killed everybody. So in this case, it could still be the same thing, so Battler could be a fake corpse. If he's dead, even.
The first twilight usually starts in the morning, but it looks like we've got an early fight this time. No crime has occurred in the guest house, so that means the stage of the tragedy is in the mansion.
Are they all going to be in different rooms again? Like some sort of similarity to the, closed room ring? Though she had an umbrella up, Erica got drenched as she sprinted. She brashly licked the raindrops that dripped down her face. Erica was at her most energetic. It's like a female Morishige out here just being like, hell yeah, dead bodies, let's go. According to her memory from the previous game, the entrance hall to the mansion would be locked after the start of the family conference. However, the lock was undone this time. Had someone unlocked it, or had the lock not been set, or had it not been possible to set the lock?
Well, no point thinking about it now. After all, that might just be a whim of the Game Masters.
As soon as she entered the entrance hall, the door to the parlor opened violently. Out of it flew Goda's large body. Oh, hello, Goda. So you're alive.
Good evening, Goda. Is something the matter?
Ah! Ah! Police! Ambulance! Ah! Okay, Goda. That expression really is wonderfully pathetic. Just perfect for the first one to discover the crime.
Please calm down. How could the police or an ambulance get to an isolated island inside a typhoon? I'm sure the phones are out anyway, so please calm yourself.
Yells from Kraus and Rudolph's group could be heard from the parlor. Their shaken appearance perfectly signified the coming of the first twilight. Oh, okay. So, they probably discovered Rosa's body at the very least?
Well then, give me the victims, the scene, and a reconstruction of the situation.
Those who left to take a break didn't come back, so the adults went to the parlor. When they did, the door was sealed from the inside and they couldn't open it. You'll see later, but the hat stand in the parlor had been used to bar the double doors from the inside. Interesting. That's exactly what Natsuhi did, but on the other side of the parlor door in the first game, right? Or did she... No, she used the candelabra.
So you're trying to say that the door was blocked from the inside, and the windows were also locked from the inside?
That's it. When they went around and looked into the parlor through the window, they saw Rosa lying on the sofa in an unnatural position, with blood pouring from her forehead. Ah. They then smashed the glass, entered the parlor, and discovered that Maria was also there, lying by the wall and covered in blood.
Got it. Yes, that would make them yell. And the other crime scenes?
The entrance wasn't locked when you came into the mansion because they went out through it to check the parlor from the outside. It had been locked before they left through it, so there was a chance that the others who had gone missing were lying elsewhere within the mansion. And the adults are now searching the entire building.
So, do the places the victims died match that long, crazy delusion you showed earlier?
They match. Rosa and Maria were in the parlor. Beyond that, Natsuhi was in her own room, and Kyrie was in Krause's study. Eva was in the rose garden. No, wait. She was moved to the VIP room, wasn't she? Yes. Oh. Was that Erica who said that then? Okay. Yes, Eva's corpse was found in the VIP room.
That makes 5 victims. That's one short for the first Twilight. Who's the 6th person and where?
Kraus, the chain on this room is also set. Cut it! The culprit might be hiding in there. Goda, do it! Gun bros, here we go. Rudolph and Kraus had brought Winchesters from Kinzo's prized collection. They yelled at Goda, who was carrying the wire cutters, to cut the chain. The victims had been found one after another at several locations inside the mansion. The men who had lost their wives searched through the mansion in a rage, looking for the culprit. Oh yeah, because they all fucking lost their wives. This was a guest room. It had previously been a room where the relatives would stay, but it hadn't been used much since the construction of the guest house. This forgotten room had been sealed from the inside by the chain. I don't know which one said that, but it doesn't really matter. As soon as the chain was cut, Rudolph pushed Goda aside and flew into the room. Is anyone there? Get out here! There's someone on the bed. Let's get some light, bro. When Kraus pushed a switch on the wall, the guest room lit up, and the figure lying on the bed came into view. So Battler's dead. Okay, that is a problem then. Because the whole reason why Battler always survives very long into the games, like, the only time he's died before the 10th Twilight was in the not the 9th game, the 3rd game, where Eva shot him on the 9th Twilight. So if Battler's dying on the 1st Twilight here, then that means it's either a game that they're playing with Erica again, or the culprit isn't Shannon or Cannon, or whoever the actual culprit is of the first 5 games. Because it could still not be Shannon and Cannon, I just think they're the same person. Battler! Damn it, what are you doing in a place like this? Rudolph's knees crumpled, and he fell over Battler's corpse. No words could console him as he cried with a mad sorrow. In a single night, he had lost both his wife and his son. During this time, Kraus checked the window and the bathroom, and searched the closet to find if anyone was hiding there, but found no one. Battler! Battler! Damn it! How sad. I can't believe it. but this room is also a closed room. What? Again? Yes. My study, where Kyrie was, Natsuhi's room, the VIP room with Eva, the parlor with Rosa and her daughter, and now Battler in this guest room. They're all closed rooms, aren't they? I don't understand. It couldn't be suicide, could it? That's impossible. How could this be a suicide? Battler! What are the wounds, though? Like, Rosa was on her forehead. It just said Maria was covered in blood. Does it show? No.
Oh, there's a surprise. To think that you yourself would be the 6th person.
It's more interesting to kill yourself off every now and then. So was the whole thing with, like, the person trapped in a room that they couldn't get out of? Because, like, the chain was set, they could only leave the room when the chain was set? Is it raining? It's raining. Oh shit, I gotta close my windows. Okay, I'm back. I shut my windows because I don't want rain fucking short-circuiting my PS4. Or my Switch, or my Wii U, or anything in my room, actually. Which, I guess that means it's going to cool down, maybe, with the rain. I left one window open to crack so I don't burn to death, but where was I? Oh yeah. The room where there was a person who we didn't know, but I thought it was Battler. Just because of the way they talked, constantly saying, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, you know? They couldn't leave unless the chain was set from the inside. Like, the chain had to be set in order for them to leave. And when they smashed through the window, it basically regrew, the window did. Is that why? Is this that same room? I'm still confused about that whole segment, but whatever.
And all of the crime scenes are closed rooms. It's a murder that couldn't have been performed without magic. Isn't seeing through that the point of this game? In other words, it must be a murder that could have been performed without magic. After all, if it really could be done only with magic, this wouldn't be a game.
Okay, but if the chain's set, then the only way to get through is the windows. If the windows are locked, then there's no secret doors, then there's no way to actually get into the room. In which case, this means all the bodies are not dead. In fact, none of them are. Well, maybe either Rosa or Maria could be, but there has to be at least one alive person in each of the five rooms, which means Battler's alive, Eva's alive, Kyrie's alive, Natsuhi's alive, and then Rosa and or Maria are alive. Meaning it's, yet again, just a game with Erica, because that's the only way the closed rooms would work. That's an interesting thought. Thanks, Battler. Yes, that is the sort of game we've been playing. This game is fair. The goal is to explain without magic the strange crimes that are claimed to be caused with magic. If that couldn't be done, it wouldn't be a game. In other words, as Erica had said, they must be murders that could have been performed without magic. To turn it around, the witch side had a certain responsibility. They had to make a crime that could be reproduced with tricks and not magic. Unless the human side could see through to those tricks, the witch side could use all kinds of magic and illusions. In other words, in order to carry out a closed room murder with magic, it was necessary to create a crime that would be possible by human hands. Right. But if there is no crime, it doesn't really matter, does it? And I don't think it's actually possible for anyone in those rooms to be dead other than either Rosa or Maria. One of them has to be dead, like I already said. So, Battler's not actually dead. So, wahoo. Good. If they are actually dead and there's some weird trick that they use in order to, like, lock the windows from outside, which might be possible with a piece of tape or something, I don't know, then... Or if the rooms aren't actually closed rooms, that's possible, I suppose, but I really do doubt it. If the rooms aren't actually closed rooms somehow, and there's actually a possible way to get into each of the rooms, despite the chain being set and despite the, windows being locked, like if they fucking climbed through the ceiling, then that would mean the culprit's different from who they've been the past 5 times, because Battler's alive. I mean, dead.
Now I understand. I see why.
When I ordered the 7 sisters to kill my classmates back at St. Lucia's, they couldn't do what I told them, and I understand the meaning of Mammon's words. Magic can only do what you can accomplish by your own hands. Is that it? At that time, if I had possessed the determination to kill my classmates... No, that's not it. At that time, if I had been capable of killing my classmates, capable of pulling it off, then the 7 Sisters of Purgatory would probably have pulled it off for me. They could only accomplish what I could do myself. No, that's not it either. They could take what I had accomplished and turn it into magic. However, because there had been a great number of witnesses in that classroom, it would probably have been impossible. It would have been burned by that anti-magic toxin Maria and the others always talked about. However, if I had called those classmates out somewhere without witnesses, and if I had succeeded in murder, at that point the 7 Sisters of Purgatory would be capable of carrying out a magical murder. I see. Even with magic, witches cannot do things that they cannot accomplish by themselves. They can only adorn things they're capable of doing with magic. Interesting. And that is because those who accomplish something without using magic later claim that magic was used and call themselves witches. This Erica person has understood that since the beginning. That's why she will never surrender to witches. She is confident that it must be explainable with tricks. The old Battler was toyed with so frequently because he did not possess that conviction. Once you see through that rule, the witch loses any chance at victory. That's why they have to make their opponents surrender before they see the truth of that rule. The longer the match is drawn out, and the more hints are given, the greater the witch's overwhelming disadvantage becomes. Once again, this reasoning keeps spinning around in circles. Why did Beato let this game get drawn out until she lost? Many victims had been found, and the mansion was still wrapped in chaos. Hideyoshi's group seemed to have gone to the guest house, worrying about the safety of the kids there. Kraus and Rudolph's group was in the hall, talking about what should be done next. During a short gap in this chaos, Erica dashed all about the mansion. She was checking the crime scenes. Normally with the detective's authority, Erica had the right to openly investigate the crime scenes to her heart's content. However, this time she hadn't yet made use of that authority. She was a guest and an outsider, so there was little to no chance that she would be allowed to investigate. So she was forced to quickly check all of the crime scenes now, while she could still run about as she pleased. In the servant room, there had been a clear folder containing a sketch of the mansion's interior. Because she had borrowed that, she knew the locations of all the rooms. Erica skillfully made her way through the mansion, dashing into each crime scene in turn. Okay. So if she went to all of the different rooms... Wait. Detective's authority is just being able to, check crime scenes and stuff basically whenever, right? Like, the right to check all the crime scenes. It still doesn't like, not using detective's authority means she can still, like, her perspective is still objective, right? I mean, I guess it depends on if anyone actually appears on the game board with her. Like, if Erica sees anybody like Beatrice, Delanner, Cordelia... No, is it Cordelia or Cornelia? I always forget. Gertrude, the Stakes, Ronove, Gap, anyone like that. If she sees any of them, then that means her perspective is an objective. So, should I just treat this as if there is no detective? So she can't actually determine if the bodies are dead or not as well. Meaning, everyone could still be alive. Because I'm not going to trust that anybody's dead until the red truth proves that they're dead. So, yeah. And even then, I'm not going to trust that they're dead right now. Because even if later down the line, it's just like, oh yeah, Rose is dead, Maria's dead, Natsuhi's dead, Eva's dead, Kyrie's dead, and Battler is dead. Until then, I'm not going to trust that any of them are dead, but that still doesn't necessarily mean that they're dead now, even if there's a red truth later on that says they're dead. Because that only means at that point they're dead. But, whatever. Lady Erica, I believe you know, but allow me to warn you just in case. Yes, what is it? It is true that you have an incredible photographic memory, Lady Erica.
That, combined with the detective proclamation, is what made it possible for you to avoid being deceived by anything. Yeah, I get it. Since no detective proclamation has been made about me, even my photographic memory doesn't count as foolproof evidence. Of course, I understand that. Still, that doesn't mean I can afford to miss viewing the crime scenes directly. After all, in the last game, my pride in that regard led me to a truly miserable failure.
I'm gonna assume that... I'm pretty sure this has been the case the whole time, but when these rose things are in the border, that means this isn't a game board. So this could still mean her perspective's objective.
For example, by this argument, no matter how well you examine a person's corpse, you cannot even guarantee that they were not faking their death with absolute certainty. Most probably, features of this situation must be individually confirmed by telling Battler to repeat them in red.
Okay, so without the detective's authority, she still can't determine if they're dead or not. Okay, but that still might mean her perspective has to be objective, right?
And I'll need to use the blue truth liberally in order to make him. I understand. Let's start with the basics. The lack of the detective's authority is no handicap. It simply means that I'm fighting under the same conditions Battler once was.
Yes, this fight is retracing the old days when Battler and Bato fought so fiercely. I have nothing as convenient as the detective's authority. I just have to truly fight the same way the old Battler fought. Thinking of it this way, it may be true that I was given quite a favorable, unfair position last game, just as my master had said. It may be difficult without the detective's authority, which is also my pride and honor as a detective. Okay, so Battler didn't even have the detective's authority in the first 4 games, but his perspective was still objective. So that means Erika's perspective should still be objective. It may be difficult without the detective's authority, which is also my pride and honor as a detective. But I won't let that be a handicap. I know what magic is, and I'm fully aware of how to fight with the red and blue truths. I know the way to fight in this game many times better than the old Battler did. Okay. I quickly visited the VIP room, Krause's study, and Natsuhi's room on the 2nd floor, as well as the parlor and the guest room on the 1st floor. This time checking with my own eyes, as I had failed to do in the last game. Oh, yeah, because she didn't directly look at any of the corpses last game. First off, all of the scenes were made to look like closed rooms. Probably of special note was the fact that the master keys could have had nothing to do with the trick. The closed rooms were all made without relying on any elements that could be locked or unlocked from the outside by a master key or something else. The windows were locked from the inside and the doors were all locked and chained. A master key could get around all of the locks on the doors, but not the window locks or the chain locks. I haven't yet had Battler confirm that it's impossible to manipulate those from the outside, but I'm sure he'll be able to say it in red. It'd be stupid otherwise.
I understand. Right now, I am a mere human. I can't even properly confirm the death of the corpses.
Last time, I neglected to check the corpses, and let a massive bit of magic get by me. I won't fail like that again. If I did, I wouldn't be able to face the master I am so indebted to.
We have checked all of the scenes and finished gathering information. Here is our report.
Okay, it doesn't have the roses. So this is something interesting now. So Erika's perspective isn't even objective, is it? So does that mean she's not even the detective? So that would mean Battler is, or someone else. It doesn't have to be Erika or Battler. It could be fucking George, for all we know.
Go ahead. First, all of the rooms were closed rooms formed by the window locks and chain locks and the like, so that interference from the outside would be difficult. The only exception is the parlor, where Rosa and Maria lay dead. Please, allow me to speak. Let it be known that the door was barred with a hat stand. It is thought to be substantially the same as a chain lock, in that it can only be set from the inside. It is probably their goal to construct closed rooms where explanations using master keys are made completely ineffective. The parlor has no chain lock due to its very nature, so it is natural that something else would be used in the chain's place. In that case, the interesting question becomes why one of the other rooms with chain locks wasn't chosen to be a closed room. There were several guest rooms other than the one Battler lay dead in, all with similar layouts, correct? Yes, that is correct. In that case, even though it should have been more beautiful to throw them in there, so that everyone would be inside a chain-lock closed room, they did not. That hat stand door bar in the parlor seems very suspicious. I should probably pursue this when demanding red truce. Also, we have corpses, but are they the same absolute deaths with their necks sliced open like in the last game, which could be confirmed even without the detective's authority? Of course, she had checked all of the corpses and all of the crime scenes this time. However, without the detective's authority, she had no guarantee that she would be able to see through any fake deaths with certainty. The old Battler had also started fighting by doubting whether the victims were truly dead. It was the same for Erica. Please, allow me to speak. Know that there were no corpses that could have been confirmed dead with certainty by physical means. Please, allow me to speak. We cannot deny the possibility that any of these corpses might be a fake death. Well, I doubt Battler will easily confirm their deaths in red, even if I tell him to. Sheesh.
They could have been poisoned.
I liked Bayato's chain of 6 closed rooms better. However, these closed rooms are even more complete, considering that master keys don't help you at all. There are 2 general ways of breaking closed rooms that Battler might be after. An illusion of a closed room, or an illusion of a crime. It'll be one of those. I get the first one. That's when something looks like a closed room, but it actually isn't, right? What do you mean by an illusion of a crime? An illusion that makes it seem as though a crime has occurred. In other words, are they really dead? Well, that's dumb. If the people inside are alive, handling any kind of closed room is like pissing in a toilet. Still, with this closed room, it's pretty hard to think of any other answer.
That's a really shitty line. Don't ever say that again.
What about the endless possibilities of manipulating the chain lock from the outside? We don't know if there are secret doors, ways to kill from a distance, chances of suicide, or even whether these are complete closed rooms in the first place. I already know, since I'm looking at Battler's game board from the underside, but these are perfect closed rooms. They can only be constructed from the inside, and there exists no method by which to construct, deconstruct, or interfere with them from the outside.
Interesting.
Can you say that in red? That'd be a little too rude to Battler, so no. If you do love me, you must see my words as red truth already, right? Then the closed rooms are perfect. In other words, this is an illusion of a crime. It does seem that way. If so, these are all trick closed rooms. Doesn't this mean that everyone got so pissed at Erica bragging about detectives and stuff that they joined together instead of a fake murder to make fun of her? Oh, is that the right answer? I'm like a super detective. Unfortunately, this isn't a fake. The victims really have been killed.
Oh, that was probably Battler. Unfortunately, this isn't a fake. The victims really have been killed.
Huh? You don't mean by 2400 on the second day, right?
No detective proclamation has been made, but she's very accurate when examining corpses. She's good enough that I could give her examinations to red truth.
So, does that mean that they were definitely dead when Erica examined their corpses?
Oh, that was Burn Castle the whole time. Jesus Christ. This game could really benefit from text boxes that have the characters' names when they talk, you know?
Yes, that's right. Totally. But you won't say it in red for her, right? And that poor Erica must want it so bad. Well, she isn't even a detective this time around. I won't give her any red.
Oh. So she isn't a detective.
Still, that makes it incredible. This time, Battler's really made a perfect closed room. Oh yes, I believe you're right. Will Erica be okay? Looks like an ordinary closed room murder at a glance, but this one is pretty nasty. Won't this load be a bit too heavy for Erica without her detective's authority? She's a self-proclaimed detective. I'm sure she'll pull through. If Battler and Bayato are defeated by a mere human who isn't even a detective, they'd fall apart in the most exquisite way. Don't you think? And even if Erica loses, you get to play by throwing her into the worst fragment and knocking her into the depths of oblivion? Exactly. No matter how it turns out, it won't be boring. You really are heartless, aren't you? Well, wringing out this black cat like a towel and licking up every last drop is bliss to me. Bayato's game board did entertain me for quite some time, but we've already wrung everything we can from it. It'll be over with this game, so in the end, we really must let Battler and Erica bet everything in one final face-off. And I wanted to play with you forever in this game. What a shame. Come now, I've spent plenty of time with you already. Go find me another interesting game. If you do, I'll play with you again. Ah, yes. You really don't let me get bored. That's okay, Burncastle. Seeing your face twist with anguish is the one forbidden honey I found for myself.
This game really likes using the word anguish, doesn't it? That or I just see it more often. Because, I don't know. Either way, show me anguish! Wham the Delta had guaranteed that it was a perfect closed room. Burncastle had guaranteed that it was a perfect murder. A perfect closed room and murder. The witches hate a killjoy, so they haven't said anything with the red truth yet. Pursuing that was the role for Battler and Erica. Thundering. That's fun. Looks like you've trampled all over the crime scenes by now. Satisfied? Is your inspection complete?
Yes, I'm satisfied. So about our war of red and blue, shall we start right away, or do it all at the end?
I don't like putting things off. I think the same goes for you.
Then let's get started with the closed rooms of the first Twilight. First, I'd like to check. Do you intend to respond if I ask you to repeat something in red?
Depending on what you say, yes. I have no obligation to respond to everything, and I won't reveal my reasons when I refuse.
Good. Then let's start simple and confirm the definition of a closed room. Dlanner, please read it aloud. Understood. We demand that the following be repeated.
Dlanner spread out one of those scrolls that some official would always spread out when announcing the king in Western fairy tales, and read it aloud.
First, the rooms with the 6 people in them are all closed rooms.
Acknowledged. Of course, that's only until Goda and the others severed the chains and destroyed the closed rooms. So you can just say acknowledged and that's the same thing? At a nod from Dlanner, Cornelia, who stood behind her, started taking notes.
Second, the definition of a closed room implies that it is impossible to construct from the outside.
Acknowledged.
In other words, no trickery done from the outside can construct the closed room. It is not permitted for a chain lock to be reset from the outside by a cleverly used wire, for example.
I didn't need you to tell me that. Dlanner, please continue.
Third, the definition of a closed room implies that all forms of interference that pass between the inside and outside of the room are prevented.
Acknowledged. However, I won't deny the kinds of interference that you'd expect from a normal room, such as knocks, voices, and the extension telephone line.
Fourth, at the time of the deconstruction of the closed rooms, none existed within the rooms except the victims, Natsuhi, Eva, Kyrie, Rosa, Maria, Battler.
Acknowledged. In this way, they could confirm whether or not the culprit had been hiding inside a closed room. If the culprit had slipped out of the room after the discoverers had noticed the murders and then walked away, it would have been possible to construct an illusion of a closed room. Because Battler had acknowledged their statement with the red truth, the possibility that the culprit and the victim had both been inside the closed room at the time of the crime, and that the culprit had hidden under the bed and snuck out after the discovery of the crime, had been denied.
Fifth, no murder was committed after the deconstruction of the closed rooms.
I refuse.
Why? Because the victims really were alive after the closed rooms were destroyed? So Kraus and the others who barged in were the culprits and committed the murders then. In other words, they were post-closed room murders. Is that why you refuse?
Y'all ugly. Poof.
Not at all. The murders will continue to occur, so we cannot say in red that no murders will happen after this. Sheesh, what twisted logic. You probably see what we're getting at. Kraus's group cut the chain and destroyed the closed rooms, then killed the people inside.
We already have a red truth. Kraus is not the culprit. At least, I don't know if that just refers to the 5th game. Because Eva only kills people in the 3rd game, as far as we know.
I just want you to counter this. Lady Erica, it is insufficient to refer to Kraus's group, an unspecified number of people. You should first determine which humans entered the room after the closed room was deconstructed. Allow me to speak. Excepting the victims, those who entered the closed rooms were Kraus, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda. Allow me to speak. This is based on spoken testimony. Know that there is no proof that others did not enter. I know that already. Let's have you repeat that. After the deconstruction of the closed rooms, then excluding me, only Kraus, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda entered the rooms.
Sure. Acknowledged. However, this only applies to the current point in time. It's possible that some later development in the game will cause more people to enter. Repeat it. Kraus, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda are not culprits. Battler put his finger on his chin, deep in thought. This word, culprit, was fairly broad, and it might serve to greatly restrict the darkness of the witch.
Why not answer? If we refuse, their blue truth naming Kraus and the others as culprits will remain.
Sure. I'll acknowledge it, but I'll make the language more strict. Kraus, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda were not involved in the murders of Natsuhi, Eva, Kyrie, Rosa, Maria, and Battler.
And that means it was also possible for any of the other humans who didn't even enter the closed room to have been involved with murder, doesn't it?
Who knows? Think about it yourself. What'd she say again? It was also possible for any of the other humans who didn't enter the closed room to have been involved with murder. Ah. If you think you can build up some blue truth for how a closed room murder can be committed without entering the room, then I'll respond with the red truth. However, I only need to destroy one of the blue truths you'll be presenting from here on out. In other words, even if you do manage to use the blue truth and explain this away with some long-distance closed room murder trick X, I don't necessarily have to counter that with the red truth. These are the rules of the witch's game. Angie had confirmed these details with Beato in the 4th game. The witch side lays out riddle after riddle that it claims are impossible to carry out except by magic. The human side must use the blue truth to argue that they are explainable with tricks. And if they fail to make a counter-argument with the blue truth for even one of the riddles, that riddle will be considered to have been done by magic, and it will be impossible to deny the existence of a witch. In other words, the witch side only needs to protect any one of its riddles. However, the human side has to fully explain all riddles with the blue truth. And even if the human side manages to explain all of the riddles with the blue truth, if any one of those is successfully countered by the red truth, the witch will win. That was why, like the strategy the old Beato had adopted at the end, it was sufficient for the witch side to put off their red text counter-arguments until the very last moment, then make a single strike at their opponent's most fragile spot.
In any event, you refuse to repeat that last one, right?
Don't get the wrong idea. I don't give out red for free.
Gah.
From the witch side's perspective, repeating statements made by the human side is just a supplement to make sure that they haven't misunderstood the question. Therefore, they had no obligation to respond to extremely broad demands.
Not bad. Looks like you can handle being a player on the witch side pretty well, too.
Your experience is no match for mine.
Tanner!
This song, has this one been played before? I don't know.
Let us continue. Next, the victims did not die by any method other than homicide.
Acknowledged. So they are dead? Or does he just imply that when they die from homicide?
Of course, there were no suicides or accidental deaths. 7th, the victims.
That's enough, Dlanner.
Are you sure? There are still items. Yes, that will do fine. I've confirmed the status of the crime scene. From here on, it's time for me to argue back with the blue truth.
Sure, fine. Let me hear your masterful theories. Oh boy. Though Battler and Erica were enemies, it looked to Beato as though they were having a little fun doing this. She was probably slightly jealous of Erica. Beato thought back on the book she had read in Featherin's library, in which the old her and Battler had fought. And that must have been fun as well. Alright. During a short break in the family conference, a horrible, brutal mass murder had occurred. The 6 people killed, excluding Battler, had all been women. The remaining men went mad with rage at this cowardice, then broke down sobbing at the sadness of losing their wives, over and over again. Why were they all women? How cowardly can a person be? What's wrong with us? Here we are under the same roof, and we're just smoking away, not noticing that members of our own family are getting killed. Damn it! But who? And how? They were not unguarded. The chain was set for all of them.
Who gives a damn about that? I don't care how they were killed. I just want to know who did it. It could be possible that if they actually did die, though, like if in the closed rooms they are indeed dead, they could have been fatally wounded and then they closed the rooms themselves, the victims did. But I'm not sure why they would do that. Hey, Genji, Goda, were the doors and windows to the mansion all locked during the family conference? Yes, there can be no doubt. In accordance with Madam's instructions, everything is always locked at the time of the night patrol. Tonight was a special case, so everything was locked up right after seeing the children off to the guest house. How is that possible? I mean, Battler and Maria were inside the mansion, right? They shouldn't have been able to get in, right? If everything really was locked up properly, that couldn't have happened. Doesn't that prove that the building wasn't completely locked up? Well... He was arguing that Goda's failure to lock up properly might have allowed a stranger to sneak in. At the very least, none of them had known that Battler and Maria had visited the mansion. Also, congratulations, Genji. This is the first time that you haven't died on the first Twilight since the second game. At the very least, none of them had known that Battler and Maria had visited the mansion. If those who had come and found everything locked tight, they wouldn't have been able to get inside. If they had rung the doorbell, Goda would probably have heard them from the servant room, but Goda said that nothing of the sort had happened. How they had entered the locked mansion was a complete mystery. Does it show that now? What the? Ha! Half. Natsuhi. Her corpse was found in her room. Fruto Erica didn't perform a proper investigation, so the details of the cause of death are unknown. Found in the VIP room, found in Krause's study, found in a guest room, found in the parlor, and found in the parlor. So the bottom text is always the same thing. Wait, why is... Oh, some of them have apostrophes and some don't. That's weird, but I imagine that's probably just a typo, honestly. Unless it's, again, just a clue. The fact that there's no apostrophe in Natsuhi, Eva, Kyrie, and Battler's means that they all died alone. And these two died together. Hooray. There we go, cracked the case. This is merely an idea, but, for example, what if Madam or someone happened to be near the entrance, noticed Battler and Maria knocking on the door, ringing the bell, and let them in? That couldn't have happened. You were in the servant room then, right, Goda? Isn't there a chime in the servant room that goes off when the front door opens? There's no way you would have missed anyone. Well... At that time, Goda was serving drinks as you requested, so he was not in the servant room. Why was there only one servant in the mansion on such an important day? Why was someone as important as Genji on duty in the guest house? Does that make any sense? Why was the servant room left empty? My wife formed those shifts. She probably hoped that Goda would be kind enough to serve some fashionable drinks throughout the family conference as well. But Krause, this is the family conference, right? The most important day of the year, right? Why was Goda left as the only person on shift in the mansion? If there had been just one more person, everything would be different, wouldn't it? Right? Right? With a half-crying, half-enraged, jumbled-up expression, Hideyoshi yelled at Goda. Of course, the Kobaru who killed everyone was the most to blame and the most despicable. However, even if he understood that, he needed to let off some of his emotions by hating someone he could see. Has Eva ever technically died before Hideyoshi? Like, they've either always died at the same time, or Hideyoshi died before. Yeah, because in the first game, Hideyoshi and Eva were the second Twilight. In the second game, they were both on the first. Third game, Hideyoshi died, like, on the 5th, and Eva survived to the 10th. In fact, past the 10th. Fourth game, they were both first Twilight. And fifth game, Hideyoshi was second Twilight. And Eva survived past that. So that's interesting. This is actually the first time we're seeing a lot of different reactions. Because it's not often that Natsuhi dies before Krause either. In fact, has that ever happened? Yeah, the fourth game that happened. Didn't in the third... Yeah, it only happened in the fourth. This is actually the first time
I think Rudolph has survived past Kyrie or Battler also. Because Kyrie and Rudolph both died on the first Twilight of the first game and the second. They died, like, at the same time in the third. Rudolph died on the first Twilight in the fourth, so Kyrie survived past him, and they both survived to the end of the fifth. So that's interesting. We're getting... I kind of like how the Death Order is always completely different to get different characters reacting to their loved ones dying.
I'm fully aware of how everyone feels. However, please calm down. Either Goda wasn't thorough when locking up, or someone let Battler and Maria in after they came back from the guest house, and then forgot to lock up afterwards.
However, we haven't ever had a case where Maria died before Rosa, have we? Because Rosa was first Twilight in the first game. Maria and Rosa both survived to the 10th in the second. They were second Twilight in the third. Rosa was first Twilight in the fourth. And both of them were first Twilight in the fifth and the sixth. So we've never really had Rosa survive past Maria. So that's something. Is that intentional? And where the hell's Kumasawa?
However, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with how the culprit snuck in. After all, the mansion is massive. They might have come in much earlier and hid until late at night for all we know. I can understand that you might want to suspect certain people, but please calm down.
Our guest is right. The culprit is the one we should hate, not the servant who just happened to be on duty. At any rate, let's calm down. I feel as terrible as the rest of you. However, we must take the initiative now and regain our composure. Bro! Everyone feels just as sad and devastated, and none of us will ever forgive the one who did this. For that reason, we must regain our composure. He's right. I still have George. Krau still has Jessica. And Rudolph, you still have Angie waiting for you to return, right? It's still too soon to start pointing fingers.
The culprit is still on this island, and we can't be sure that this tragic crime is over. We need to stay calm and prevent any further tragedies.
Erica's words softly consoled them, and gently admonished them. If a servant had said the same thing, Rudolph would probably have jumped on him. However, since it had come from the lips of the guest, a neutral party, it seemed to reach their ears.
Let's stay cool. We have 3 grown men with us, and guns as well. Judging by the pattern of the murders, the chances of the culprit having a gun are low. In other words, as long as we keep our heads, the culprit no longer has any way to touch us.
She's right. Wrong voice. She's right. We can't let the culprit do as they please any longer on our island. Let's find the culprit. We're in the middle of a typhoon. They can't escape from the island, and there's only so many places they can take shelter from the rain in.
This island is larger than you'd think. Unfortunately, it would be difficult to search this island with this many people. After all, if you found the culprit, you might shoot them to death on the spot as you are now. If the frightened culprit has run into that deep forest, you won't find them easily.
Right. We should just wait for the typhoon to pass. Have the boat call the police for us and let them thoroughly search the island. The police are incredible. They'll bring hundreds of people and pick through it with a fine-toothed comb. That forest may be deep, but they'll definitely smoke the culprit out. The most important thing now is to make sure no more of our beloved family members are taken from us. Rudolph, if something happens to you, what will happen to Angie back home? Kyrie. Battler. Damn it. Damn it! I never had a chance to tell you the truth. Yeah, he's never really mentioned this truth. Like, something always happens to make it so he can't tell this truth that he's talking about. Which I'm assuming this truth is the truth behind Battler's birth, right? Kyrie gave birth to Battler, Asumu gave birth to either Shannon/Cannon, or she had a stillbirth, and he swapped the babies. And if Shannon and Cannon was, the son/daughter/whatever the fuck of, Asumu, then he gave it up for adoption, and that's why they were at the Fukuin house. In which case, yeah. But that would make Battler, a half-brother of Shannon/Cannon, which would be an interesting twist. But, there was something else I was gonna say, too. Yeah, I'm still pretty sure this is just a game for, like, that everyone's put on for Erica. However, we know what now, Erika's not the detective, so until, somebody legitimately dies and we know for sure that they're dead, then, yeah.
Kraus, I'm sure that everyone in the cousin room is extremely agitated right now. If you show them that you've regained your composure, I'm sure that'll help them relax a lot. Would you mind heading up there?
Good point. We have to talk with everyone about what we're going to do next.
Please go up with him, Genji and Goda. I'm sure that Shannon, Cannon, and Kumasawa are all very agitated.
Where's Nanjo then?
Yes, I'm sure everyone is quite agitated.
Are you certain? Is there anything else we can help with?
That's why I want you to go with Kraus. I want you there to help him if something happens. I'd like for the rest of us to check and see that everything's locked up here. We'll head up soon, so please go on ahead.
Understood. If you need anything, please call us. Genji bowed and Kraus nodded. Kraus also nodded to Erika, then headed up to the second floor with Genji and Goda. In times of confusion, when only men are around, it's easy for a composed member of the opposite sex to take the initiative. Even without the detective's authority, she was able to control them quite naturally. Erika had wanted to get rid of the servants for the time being. Okay, in that case, let's get to checking the locks. Our problem's gonna be the big window in the lounge. It looks like it doesn't even have shutters. If they smash this, we won't be able to stop them from coming in. Don't worry, the sound of the glass smashing will be more than enough warning. We'll turn them to Swiss cheese.
Quiet, please. I didn't have you stay down here to check the doors and windows. Please listen calmly to what I'm about to say. When Erika lowered her voice, Rudolph and Hideyoshi realized that she wanted to talk about something secret, so they brought their ears closer as soon as they regained their composure. Listen up. This crime happened during a short break in the family conference. In that tiny span of time, 6 people were killed without anyone noticing. I can't imagine a crime improvised on the spot going so smoothly. This crime was committed by someone who knew the layout of this mansion well, inside and out.
Well, if they didn't know the inside well, but... A short while ago, they had attacked Goda, suspecting the servants of making a blunder. However, they'd only thought that he'd forgotten to lock up, and were attacking him for letting the mysterious culprit sneak in. They hadn't considered that one of the culprits they knew so well might have taken those lives with their own hands. No, they hadn't wanted to think that. People can't easily suspect someone they know well of being a culprit. At the time of the crime, the mansion was locked from the inside, and only those involved with the family conference existed there. So, Bro killed Kirie and the others? Or am I supposed to suspect Hideyoshi? It's impossible, unthinkable. I never even considered suspecting Kraus or Rudolph. All the siblings had excellent relationships with their spouses. True, the Ushiromiya family may be strict with discipline and money, but that doesn't mean we treasure our own families less than anyone else. Are you trying to turn everyone against each other, Erika? Jesus. Yes, of course I believe that. I wouldn't dream that any of you would kill your own wives. Erika had already received red truth proof from Battler that they were not the murderers, so there was no need to argue that point. Kraus, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda. None of those 4 was the killer. And yet Erika said this. However, what about Goda? He was in the waiting room the whole time during the family conference, in a position from which he could do anything without anyone knowing. What the hell is your purpose in making them suspect Goda? Isn't it a little early to suspect Goda? Goda came to bring us drinks in the dining hall during the break. He was with us for quite some time. He couldn't have had time to kill 6 people. However, he might have been able to let the actual killer into the mansion. Precisely. Goda probably didn't kill them himself. However, it's very possible that he secretly welcomed the actual murderer into the mansion. Battler's Red Truth said that Kraus, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda had no involvement in the murders in the first place, so that would not be able to happen. Rudolph and Hideyoshi, stunned, looked at each other. They were family. Even a wife of the siblings would be considered family. Though the siblings hated each other, it wasn't possible that they'd hate each other's wives enough to kill them. Eva and Rosa were 2 of the siblings, but none of the others could have had any reason to kill Natsuhi, Kirie, Battler, or the young Maria. But to a servant like Goda, perhaps they were all a little more than complete strangers.
I suspect the servants on 2 points. First, the victims are familiar with them, and there were no signs of a fight in any of the crime scenes. I think you all know well that there were... Oh, shit. What? There was no disturbance at any of those places.
I was thinking that too. Figured Kirei was used enough to fights that she wouldn't get killed that easily without resisting. That woman wouldn't hesitate to bite your finger off. Does make more sense if the culprit was someone she knew, who suddenly attacked when her guard was down.
Come to think of it, the same goes for Maiva. She knows a dozen kinds of martial arts. She spends every day practically wishing for some ruffian to attack her. She wouldn't have been killed off so easily. Then what about Rosa in the parlor? Do you think she'd be easily killed by a stranger without resisting, while she had her only daughter with her? And this tells us something else that's important.
Something important?
The culprit isn't just one person, right?
You're right. Both Rosa and Maria were in the parlor. If they hadn't both been killed at the same time, there would have been an uproar. Since the culprit was able to do that, there can't be just one of them. When it comes to Maria, Rosa was like a quick-to-anger mama bear. She wouldn't cower in fear, even if someone pointed a gun at her. I see, so it had to be someone who wouldn't rouse Rosa's suspicion until the last second.
Now that we see the idea of an unknown outsider sneaking onto the island is actually the less realistic option, the culprit is someone familiar with this island, and there's more than one.
The culprit is someone familiar, and there's more than one. Erika's reasoning pointed clearly at the ones they should suspect and guard themselves against. The servants. So, you suspect the servants?
Yes. Under the current circumstances, they are the most suspicious. The second reason to suspect them is the closed rooms with the chain locks.
Why do the chain locks make them suspicious?
What if there was no chain lock on the closed rooms?
Then they wouldn't be closed rooms. With a single master key, anyone could make them. I see. The servants had to seal them with the chain so that they wouldn't be suspected.
Exactly. By setting the chain, they don't have to worry about being suspected. To turn it around, if the chains weren't set, they wouldn't be able to avoid suspicion since they hold the master keys.
So the only ones with something to gain from setting the chains are the servants. I'm not trying to protect them or anything, but if so, how'd they actually set the chains? Is it possible to set them from the outside?
Considering how they're built, I don't think it'd be impossible. Have you heard this story? Apparently some mailmen who deliver to apartment mailboxes are known to carry loops of wire with them.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Apartment mailboxes often have similar adjoining boxes around them for the nearby room numbers. I heard they'd sometimes accidentally deliver letters to the next room over if they weren't careful.
These mailboxes are almost always locked. If you put the mail into the wrong one, you'd have no way of getting it out.
In that situation, they're supposed to tell the owner of that mailbox about their mistake, have that person unlock the mailbox for them, and retrieve the improperly delivered mail. However, the resident of that apartment would often be out, and going through that process would be a real pain. Because of that, some mailmen would make a little tool out of wire with a loop at the end, and use that to fish the mistakenly placed postcard out through the crack of the mailbox. I've heard something similar. Yeah, I've heard something similar from a friend of mine at a building management company. It seems they'd sometimes get drunks who lock themselves in the bathroom and fell asleep. So to get them out of there, they'd stick a thin metal tool through the crack in the door and undo the latch.
Exactly. All industries have little tools that can easily open things that normally can't be opened. It wouldn't be particularly surprising if the servants of a mansion had something of the sort.
Good point. Once you figured out the knack of it, you probably could set the chain from the outside by using a wire. Yeah, we can't be sure that it's impossible. Except it is, I guess. True, physically speaking, one couldn't say for sure that there existed absolutely no way to set and unset chain locks from the outside. Chain locks allow for the door to be opened a crack. If you stuck something through that crack, you should be able to manage it easily. It was very natural for them to think that. However, Erika knew better. Though it might be possible in reality, the Red Truth had already declared that these closed rooms could not have been constructed from the outside. In other words, it was impossible to manipulate the chain lock from the outside. And yet, Erika was guiding their thoughts with the illusion that only the servants could have constructed the closed rooms. With an air of solemnly revealing some crucial point, she steadily steered the situation in the direction she wanted.
Every part of her serious face for the last few minutes had been an act. No, to put it in her words, it was a detective technique for tricking suspects. I plan to tell Kraus what I've told you. I'm not saying that all of the servants are culprits. However, it's very likely that one of them is a culprit or has been assisting the culprit. We should split them apart and have people with guns keep an eye on them. Rudolph and Hideyoshi looked at each other again. What she was saying made sense, and it sounded as though she was calmly smoking out the most suspicious people at this point in time. With her accomplished conversation techniques, Erica was cleverly grasping the initiative. Even without the detective's authority, it's possible to control human nature to this degree. What do you think, everyone? Fucking hell. Okay, then. I was starting to think that this would be a 2-hour-long chapter. That's interesting, though. Why exactly is she trying to trick them into thinking that the servants closed the room from the outside? I mean, she doesn't have confirmation that Genji, Kumasawa, Cannon, or Shannon didn't commit the crime, but still. Okay. Well then, that's gonna be it for this episode, guys. If you liked it, be sure to press the like button. And if you didn't like it, then fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!